My father, Paul Flinn, was the game warden in Boundary County, the furthest most county in the state of Idaho, bordering with Canada. And it was, I believe, in the 50s, he was made known of some strange creatures up in the Selkirks. And going up to investigate, it was determined they were caribou that were migrating back and forth across the border from Canada. He and his friends spent many hours chasing these caribou across the snow because there was nothing documented for the caribou being in North Idaho, and this was the first time that anybody was made aware of it. I remember when it hit the news out of Spokane, it made the local news, and then the local paper had some big headlines, caribou found in North Idaho. And back then it was a big deal because nobody really knew they existed. Dad continued to do his study and taken lots of film, 35 millimeter pictures, and at one time, I believe it was the Forest Service that took in a travel trailer and parked it where they could stay inside and film the caribou as they come in. And looking back at pictures and talking to him at that time, there was probably anywhere between 60 or 70 and possibly up to 125 in the herd. And so he continued doing his studies, and there's been a lot of articles on it, his manuscript, and it was in later years that they tried to do the recovery effort. And I feel the caribou were very important to him. It was kind of, I wouldn't say his legacy, but it was something that was very important to him because he wore out snowshoes and took so many pictures. He traveled around with a 16 millimeter footage, which I wish our family still had. And he would show it at different sportsmen's groups and some of the schools around the area because the caribou was a unique animal, and again, it was not known to be even in the state. And he tried in vain to get his superiors in Boise to do a little bit more work to get them protected, but they just didn't have the time or the resources to do it. He spent a lot of time on it, and I think that's why it was so important to him, because the efforts that he put into it, and it didn't really go anywhere until the 1980s, mid 80s, I guess. I asked him what his thoughts were on the recovery process that was being done, and he summed it up with 3 words to me: they're too late. Meaning, I feel they had their chance to do something about protecting them, and it's just, I think he felt better about it. But going forward, they did the recovery, transplants twice, I believe, and that's my understanding. They trapped the last remaining caribou, I believe, this last year. And I believe it's in Canada if it's still alive.